This is Smarter San Diego TV.
You said you've been talking to scientists, people who have solutions. What needs to be done? $8+ billion in profits in 3 months, but they won't admit that it's happening. Should women be allowed to become Navy SEALs?
The short answer is no.
I'm feeling very good right now.
You lived there
Oh
for
my
4.5
gosh.
years and you didn't know?
So the government now, very invested in the mortgage industry. What's happening in China that no one knows about, the news isn't covering? Tell us what's going on.
I'm in the naughty corner today.
Like you said, you're not getting rich in the military. You got to come up with a way to build some wealth. Real estate, best way to do that. I mean, can it still be fixed? And if so, what do we need to do?
Welcome to Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, and we do it commercial free. I'm Rebecca Peters, your co-host, all the way from England, and speaking the Queen's English. And of course, introducing your host, financial expert, and longtime consumer advocate, Derrick Evans.
Hey, thanks for the introduction. I appreciate that. I've never been introduced. I feel a little weird.
Yeah, now you know how I
It's
feel.
like, I don't know. You did a great job, though. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone who's been listening to the show, following us on Facebook. The questions have been awesome. We have more questions to get to today as well. My doctor is here today.
Oh, your doctor's
She's
here.
our first guest.
Well,
Pegah Homayoun.
before we get into that, you have some news about some reality show that I have no idea about.
Oh, yes,
but-
you heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go ahead and tell everybody.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, it's time. I mean, there's already been casting calls are going on right now, so we are creating a reality show. It's about the home selling process. It's kind of the story behind why a home is being sold.
Okay.
But the reason that we're doing it is because we want to teach people how to navigate the home sale process.
Okay.
In other words, a lot of times right now in the industry, when people go to hire a real estate agent, they're not really quite sure what their rights are, what the options are, or how they should go about asking questions and getting the most value for the experience.
Right.
It's very expensive to sell a home. It's 8% cost of sale pretty much. So if you're selling a $500,000 house, you're gonna spend $40,000 in costs. So what are you getting for your $40,000? That's very important to understand, and also to maximize it. So what we're gonna do is we've created a show. We're doing a casting call right now. So if anyone is looking to sell their home in the next 6 months and you'd like to potentially be on our new reality show called Selling San Diego, just go to the website on the screen and you can fill out the form there, and I will contact you myself to talk about it. I've already talked to about a dozen people. It's been really amazing. We have some great storylines potentially out there. We are still taking applications for the fiscal 2016 year to shoot shows. It's going to be really cool. I'm going to have a great time with it because this is what I've been doing for the past decade anyway in San Diego, and it's going to be a little bit more real than anything we've ever done. So the reality show Selling San Diego will be on the air in about 3 months.
Okay.
So when the first episode will air.
Coming soon?
It's coming soon, and it's going to be really cool. So it'll be fun. I'll essentially be the advisor for the person who's selling their home, and I will teach them how to select a real estate agent, how to maximize value, how to negotiate all the aspects, how to list the home, all that stuff, along with the agent that they ultimately choose. So imagine the love connection meets the real estate world. That's kind of what we're creating, except for in this case, Chuck Woolery would be going on the dates with you to make sure that everything goes okay.
Okay.
So kind of like that. But that is happening right now. It is very exciting. There's a lot of work to be done. And speaking of which, we have a lot of questions to answer too, so let's get to those.
Yes, we do. So, Robin Escondido is kind of on the same page as me at the moment. I just checked my credit report, and there are several collections for small dollar amounts. What should I do? Pay them off or fight it with the credit bureaus?
Yeah, this happens to so many people. Parking tickets, by the way, San Diegans, if you don't pay your parking tickets, they send them to collections. It crushes your credit score. Always pay your parking tickets. I know what it feels like to get one, want to grab it and throw it in the trash immediately. Do not do that. Pay it right away. Otherwise, it'll go from $42 to $140, and they will hit your credit report with a collection. It'll crush your credit score. Here's the problem. Once the collections are already on the credit report, the damage is done.
Yep.
The only way that you can sort of alleviate that issue is to remove them or let time pass. Getting them removed is extremely difficult and highly unlikely. So here's what you should do, Rob. If they're small dollar amounts and they're recent, go ahead and pay them off because you're not going to do any more damage. But if they're old, just leave them. Because what happens is if they're old and it's for $28 and you go and you pay it off, it re-ages it on your credit report.
So what's old?
Old means more than 6 months, or
Okay.
definitely more than a year.
Okay.
If it's more than a year old, it's old. and it's sort of not hurting your credit score as much anymore. When collections are fresh is when they hurt the most. And when you pay off an old collection, it re-ages it. And what I mean by that is it changes the most recent activity date to right now and makes the credit scoring model think that it just happened, even though it might be 6 or 7 years old. So whatever you do, take a look at the date of last activity on those accounts before you pay any of them off. If they're recent, go ahead and pay them off. If they're not, don't. Next one.
Kay in La Costa wants to know, should I refinance if I can save $120 a month? My mortgage is over $600,000 and we've had it for 3 years. Seems like it's not worth starting 30 years over again just for $120 a month, but my loan officer is really convincing.
Well, there's a lot of ways you can make that look really good on paper. So if you have a $600,000 mortgage, $120 a month, here's would be my suggestion for Kay in the Costa would be to take a look at doing a lower term. You don't want to ever restart your mortgage. Okay, so if you get a 30-year loan and you ever want to refinance, never refinance back to a 30-year loan. Refinance to a 25-year loan, to a 20-year loan. So you can save $120 a month. This would be a much smarter move for her to make, especially 3 years in. Get a 25-year loan. I bet the payment would be the same or less still, but she'd be saving 2 years of making payments. If she's making payments on a $600,000 mortgage, we're talking about probably $40,000 a year in payments. That'd save her $80,000 in cold hard net after tax cash.
There you go.
That's the way to go about it. It's not about the $120 a month. It's about the big dollar amount, the amount that you're paying over time. That's what you want to try to save money on, not monthly payments. She could go backwards in her loan and save money per month, but end up paying more in the long run. So you got to look at the long-term cost when you're looking at stuff like that, Kay. Don't go backwards. 25-year, look at the 20-year. If you can afford the 20-year, get that and save yourself a ton. Next.
Next. Christina in La Mesa wants to know, what is the best way to save for a child's college fund? The 529 plan, possibly?
Yeah, everyone likes the 529. Here's the thing. If you have multiple children, do the 529. And consult a financial advisor about this at all times. But if you have multiple children, get the 529 because let's say Bobby Joe gets a full ride football scholarship and you saved all this money for him because he was the first child and he was the one who had the plan. Well, now if you just put in a savings account or whatever, that's fine. You know, you don't get any tax benefits, but you could use it wherever you wanted to. If you put it into a 529 versus a UTMA, for example, then you could roll that money over to the next child.
There you go.
And you can split it amongst the children. So it's more flexible if you have multiple kids. If you just have one kid, like I do, you can do a UTMA, and it's effectively going to ultimately sort of net you the same thing. There are some advantages to doing the 529 though still, but I like the flexibility of the UTMA that I have as far as where the investments go, how the money comes out, and so on and so forth. So is it a 529 plan? Yes, if you have multiple kids. If you don't, you should consider other options, but consult your financial advisor. It's not always the 529 that's going to be best.
All right.
Anything else?
No, that was it.
You ready to get the show started?
The show, yeah.
So my doctor's coming on right now, Pegah Homayoun.
Yes.
She is a medical doctor, went through medical school, and chose to practice acupuncture and Eastern healing instead.
I'm really interested to see how this
Very
is
cool.
all playing together.
Very, very cool.
Sounds really interesting.
Coming up next, I'm going to get my jacket on. It's time to start the show.
Our next guest is joining us for the first time. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Pegah Homayoun.
There she is. There she is.
Hi.
My doctor.
Your doctor.
Is here. Yes, this is my doctor. Pegah,
Yes.
welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you for being here. You've been sticking needles in me for a while now.
I have.
And I should make it known, by the way, that I'm deathly afraid of needles.
Me too.
So, I mean, deathly afraid of needles. And the first session I did with you was like almost like torture for me.
Thank you.
For me.
But it turned out okay.
There was no pain.
Well, that's good to know.
There's no pain. You don't feel it, but it's just like you have this weird feeling. If you're a needle phobic, like I am, then you kind of have this weird feeling like, okay, there's needles in me. But I was convinced I had to come see you. I did. I'm very glad I did. We've become friends. We chat a lot during our sessions.
We chit chat.
And what's really interesting about your story is that you went to medical school. So you kind of went down the Western path of like going to medical school, all that stuff. but then you decided to practice sort of a more holistic Eastern style medicine. So I'm really curious how someone makes a decision like that. I've never asked you this before.
No, you haven't.
Why did you choose to do that?
I think it makes more sense. It resonates more with me. So the way I see health and the way I see taking care of people is more of the Eastern model for me. There's a lot of prevention that I think is important to take place initially. And then, of course, if something does come up, we address it. And oftentimes there are things that come up with patients that no one really knows what it is. They know that luckily there's no red flags in terms of any kind of lab work or anything, but they can't explain why they're having a certain symptom. And I can, which I think that's really cool. And oftentimes they have a name, which I think makes patients even more comfortable because they know that it's not just in my head.
Right, they have a name.
There's a name for that.
I'll give you a couple examples. In one instance, so I have I think we have some arthritis happening right here. There's some degeneration going on and it has to do with the forearm, and these tendons and ligaments are all connected and stuff like that. But it was like this just spazzing constantly for like 3 straight days. Went to see Pegah, put a needle in there, done. Hasn't happened since. So that's an example of one situation where there was something happening and she was like, okay, this is probably what's going on. Boom, sticks it in there. Also, my right knee was hurting. It felt uncomfortable. It was weird. I was walking, I was like, I have pain in my knee. And knee pain is not something to mess with. Like, you need to go see a doctor pretty quickly if you're having knee pain. She starts asking me about my exercise regimen, what I'm doing. She's okay, you're doing yoga, you're doing this, you're doing that. But are you exercising your quads? Sounds like you're doing all hamstrings. And so, and it was true. I'd been ignoring my quads. So I started getting back into squats and paying attention and focusing on my warriors and things like that, really focusing on the quads. No knee pain anymore. So I think what my experience has been is not too unusual, right, Pegah? I mean, a lot of people come to see you and they don't really think there's a chance you'll be able to do something. You tell them something that's very simple and they just have to make a slight change to the things that they're doing, and that pain and discomfort goes away.
Oftentimes, it depends. I have different kinds of patients. I have patients who want to do the natural route, and so they see Eastern medicine as that. And so they come see me. I have patients whose doctors send them to me. Oftentimes it's because they're like, I don't know what to do with you. Go see Pegah and see what she can do. And then I have patients who come initially for maybe something that's orthopedic, and then they see that they get better, and so we work more on other things that they never thought about. So there's different ways that people come my way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you about, so the Western side. Obviously, Western medicine is a lot of drugs. It's a lot of sort of reactive stuff. It's like, oh, okay, you have a problem. Come here, we'll give you this drug, and that'll.
Here's some antibiotics.
Yeah, that'll fix it, or
Here's some antibiotics for antibiotics.
Yeah. So that's kind of the Western side, right? And that probably didn't appeal to you, just sort of the way that illness and disease is treated.
Not necessarily. I always tell people, God forbid, if you're in an accident, go to the ER. You don't come to me. Come to me after, but go to the emergency room. So there's definitely times where Western medicine is needed and is incredibly important. Eastern medicine has its place as well. You talk about drugs in Western medicine, we have herbs. So I give my patients herbal formulas. And there's so many research out there on the different kinds of herbs and herbal formulas that we use that you just have to go to PubMed and find all the information that you need. Having said that, though, I do have patients who are on medication. And sometimes they want to start coming off of that. And that's not just done willy-nilly. I'm oftentimes in touch with their physicians. We talk about what route we're going to be taking. I do prescribe them herbs if it's applicable, and it's done in a very gradual manner, right? So Western medicine definitely has its place, and Eastern medicine has its.
Okay, but you chose Eastern.
But I chose Eastern,
Now,
yes.
when we say Eastern, we're talking about like natural, holistic, but acupuncture is sort of the basis for this Eastern medicine, right?
I practice Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine has acupuncture, herbology, and as well as bodywork, Tuina.
Tell us about Qi. All right, I don't know if anyone's seen Kung Fu Panda 3. I don't want to ruin it.
Not Kung Fu Panda 3.
Not the third one?
1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about Qi. It is. It's pretty interesting. But you talk about Qi and getting energy flowing in your body. And sometimes energy kind of gets stuck somewhere in the body. And that's what causes spasms or tightness sometimes and things like that. And somehow, some way, I have no idea how they figured this out because it must have been a really tough couple hundred years as they were figuring out how acupuncture works. But somehow you stick these needles, these really tiny needles that don't hurt at all, in the body, and it gets this energy flowing again. I mean, how do you explain something like that?
Well, it depends what we're talking about,
Yeah.
right? So when a muscle spasms, the fibers aren't firing properly. And oftentimes when you put a needle into a muscle fiber, like you keep saying, you reboot that firing sequence. And so
gotcha.
it stops it from spasming.
And I'm admitting this now, I can't hide from it forever. Last time I saw you, we put needles in my bum, right?
Yes, I did.
Because there's no way to like stretch a certain muscle that's deep
Right.
down in there. That's a really crucial place. There's like a muscle that you said there's no matter what, a massage with the elbow, there's no way to get as deep to that muscle as you could get. And I'm telling you, it fixed me right up. I mean, immediately. I walked out of there feeling fine. And I've had a lot of hip pain. I have to do a lot with my glutes to sort of combat that. And that was incredible. So like what happens in that case? Like when you have one of those situations, what's going on there?
So in that case, it's not just the needle going into the muscle and how deep it's going into the body. Usually when we put a needle in the body has a reaction because it's a foreign object. So this cascade of stuff happens in the body. And by default, what you get from it is a relaxed muscle from what I've done. So it's more intricate than just saying stick a needle in it.
Really?
Although you can.
That's what it seems like. I mean, every time I have a pain now, I'm like, I need to stick a needle in this thing.
Although you can. But I mean, we treat things very differently. So for example, with your bum, the issue that you had, I did a local point for you. I did a lot of other distal points as well to support what I was doing, but we can treat things using distal points. For example, if I have a patient who comes in with a frozen shoulder, I'll do a point on their lower leg, and that helps the frozen shoulder. They're able to move it. That same point can also be used in treating diarrhea or constipation. So the points that we have multiple functions, and it's how you use those points and how you use them together that gives you the result that you want.
And through acupuncture and this Eastern medicine, you can essentially treat almost everything that's not an emergency. So from menstrual cycles to shoulder pain or neck pain or migraines or all that stuff, right?
Right.
Do you have a question?
Bones or like muscle tears, tendon tears.
Yeah,
that's more-
all of those. It depends on the degree of the tear. So if it's something that's really, really deep or a big tear, then of course surgery is needed.
Okay.
But I do see patients before and after surgery. And before surgery, just kind of to get them calm and get them ready for the surgery, and then after to heal faster.
Okay.
So yeah, I see them during that time.
And there's a lot of preventative stuff that you can do too, right? Now, explain to me what happens when I'm laying there, there's needles in me, and it's maybe 5 minutes after you've stopped putting needles in me, and all of a sudden, like, body parts start kind of twitching, but then you immediately feel this incredible feeling shortly thereafter. What is going on there?
You're releasing happy hormone. It's the endorphin.
That's it.
It is
Happy
now.
hormones?
It's the endorphins. I mean,
Okay.
that's one thing. We've done so much work on trying to figure out what happens to the body when you do acupuncture. And there's a lot of studies out there that you can read. The brain chemistry changes, a lot of hormones get released, a lot of stuff really happens. And I like to think of it more as you got a good treatment. You
Yeah.
know, what I did was what you needed, and my diagnosis was on point, and you're enjoying.
As it has been every
What
time.
I did.
It has been. Speaking of studies, you did one recently.
I did.
Can you tell us about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So I did a study on treating osteoarthritic knee pain using auricular acupuncture. Auricular is points that we do in the ear, and I used 5 points in the ear, and I'm very proud to say that it was 98% success rate.
98%?
Yeah, it was a pretty high success rate. We were all kind of a little surprised by that.
So wait a minute, you're treating knee pain with needles in the ear,
Yes,
and it had a
arthritic pain.
98% success rate.
Yep.
That's insane. So
That
when are you going
is-
to be
that
like
is pretty
on,
neat.
national TV telling people about this? That sounds amazing. How does that work? How does the ear help the knee?
How does it work? Well, there's a lot of points in the ear. There's a microcosm, macrocosm effect that takes place. So in Eastern medicine, when you look at the ear, there's a map and there's a human on it. And there's a little part in the ear that's specifically for the knee. There are also other points that I used that were good for pain. So again, we're talking about releasing the happy hormones we talked about, right? And then there's also some points that are good for just general calming and grounding. And what they have done is when they put a needle in the area that's, let's say, for the knee, they have looked at the brain on a functional MRI, and they see that the area for motor as well as sensory to the knee lights up in the brain. So there is a very direct correlation of what happens when a needle is placed in that part of the ear.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your wisdom with us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
The doctor. My doctor.
The doctor. Your doctor.
My doctor. All right, stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guest is the founder of militarymutual.org and 21-year retired Navy veteran. Please welcome back to the show Derrick Barksdale and his special guest from Workshop for Warriors, Hernan Luisi Prado.
Wow, well done on the pronunciation. Welcome, fellas, to the show. Really good. Wow.
Thank you.
That's incredible. LT, welcome back, man.
Glad to be back for sure.
Great to have you here. Hernan, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
LT, tell us why you wanted to bring Hernan on today.
Sure. Let me start by saying that as I grow through life and life continues to evolve for me, I find myself humbled in the fact that I come across all these divine appointments. And, you know, in life, you don't realize exactly why you're meeting someone or what a natural purpose may be in the future, but you know that there's something special. And Hernan and I were stationed on board the USS Macon Island 2009, and at that time we were talking about transitioning out of the military at that time, and just so happened that both of us were doing so at the same time. And he brought to light that he already had a company by the name of Workshops for Warriors that he had, and the whole sole purpose was really to give back to veterans. And I thought that that was amazing at the time, and I, of course, got into the real estate industry and kind of had a light purpose of giving back to the military. Ironically enough, after we kind of he transferred first and I separated ways. I've been out building my business and with Military Mutual and Warrior Homes. He's been doing the same. Well, about a month ago, we met at a conference and I heard his voice and I said, you know what? It sounds familiar. And I went over there. I was like, oh, it's Hernan. And we sat down, we talked, and I found out what he was doing. I was like, man, that's exactly what we're looking for. And it's just special to know that those divine appointments come to fruition. And Hernan is a great guy with a great nonprofit organization. It's going to do some wonders for the veterans that are out there and for what Warrior Home is really going to do. And I think we have some synergy that is going to work out really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, Hernan, I've never heard of anything like this before. Tell us about Workshops for Warriors.
Of course. Thank you. Workshops for Warriors is a 501c3 nonprofit with audited financials that is the only approved school in the United States of America that certifies, places veterans, wounded warriors, and transitioning service members into advanced manufacturing careers. Since 2008, we have 100% of our graduates placed and retained in full-time careers.
Wow, and this is 100% free.
It's completely free to the veterans and supported solely by individuals, foundations, and corporations. We receive no funding from local, state, or federal agencies.
Wow, we need to change that.
I agree.
We need to change that right away.
I agree.
I know some people, we'll talk, because that fits into a lot of things that are going on in the government level that I know about, just so happens. So we'll talk about that later. You need to get some government funding. That's unbelievable. When you say advanced manufacturing, what do you mean by that?
So, for example, in the United States of America right now, you have 2.3 million advanced manufacturing jobs that are unfilled due to lack of skilled labor. And for those of you that are not familiar with what advanced manufacturing is, those are things like CNC, that's computer numerically controlled, laser cutting, water jetting, 3D printing, machining, milling, fabrication. It's basically computer-driven equipment that makes everything that we see and use today. And the manufacturing is the #1 driver in America. For every manufacturing job that's created, 20 additional jobs are created. and most manufacturing jobs are anywhere in the $60,000 to $90,000 average range.
And
So
you said how many of these jobs are still available?
2.3 million jobs are unfilled due to lack of skilled labor. To give you an idea, the governor of Michigan set out 2 teams over the last 5 months because they said that the state of Michigan was dead and they didn't even know it. And when I asked them what they meant, they said 40% of their workforce was retiring in the next 4 years, and an additional 40% were going to be retired in the next 10 years. And there were no other training pipelines identified in the U.S. for the types of skills that they needed. So we have Michigan vets that are being sent to San Diego to become trained as advanced CNC machinists, welders, fabricators, and machinery repair technicians, and they'll go back to Michigan.
Nice.
Wow. As we can hear the sound of freedom
Right.
flying above us
So
right now.
Freedom ring.
To give you an idea.
Perfect timing, I think. With that.
So those aircraft, for example, right now are being assembled, maintained, and built by people that are closer to 65 years old than to 20. So in 15 years, who's going to build the buildings that are behind us,
Yeah.
the aircraft, the ships, and the bridges that we need in America? And as we get older, our pacemakers, our spine implants.
Oh my
You
gosh,
think
the list
it's
goes
funny,
on.
but there are 70 million baby boomers that are retiring in the next 15 years that are going to be replaced by 30 million Gen X and Yers.
Yeah.
So those 30 million better understand how to do things better, faster, and more efficiently than their older generation, because there just are not as many people that are going to do the same things.
Now, I know it's free to the veterans, but I also know it's not free.
No.
It costs money. Okay. How much does it cost to get a student through your school?
So it costs about $12,000 every semester, which is 4 months, to get one student through our program, and $25,000 if you pay them a stipend. And if you think about it, if you were cut off tomorrow, no bank accounts, no job, and you still had mortgage, kids in school, car payments, groceries, credit card bills, if you think unemployment benefits going to cover that, you are sorely mistaken.
Yeah.
So in order to give some veterans an opportunity to focus on school and not on survival, we found that about anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500 a month of a cash stipend is the perfect sweet spot that enables them to focus on school for 4 months and then get out. And that $12,000 to $25,000 scholarship or stipend gets them a minimum $18 an hour job at the end of 4 months.
That's huge. And everyone can participate, right, in this. Everyone can help because anyone can donate money.
Absolutely. In fact,
Right.
if you go to our website or if you call, hopefully you'll see the website right on the bottom of the screen.
It's right there. It's right there.
Right now we have a $500,000 challenge grant through the Gene Haas Foundation for scholarships to our school. They've been one of our biggest donors to our school. We have another $500,000 for a capital campaign. We're building the largest advanced manufacturing training center in the world here on San Diego. And it'll be right here in our city on Main Street.
That is awesome.
Great.
That is fantastic. I encourage anyone, hey, listen, if you want to get involved, you can help. I mean, $100, $50, whatever it is that you can spare easily, you can give to this great cause and help put these veterans back to work. But not just back to work, in a career that they can have for the rest of their life, something that they absolutely deserve. Hernan, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you
and
so
all the
much.
great work you're doing out there in the community. Mr. Barksdale, another great guest. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing out there, my
my
friend.
honor.
Yeah, Derrick, one thing that I'd like to bring up, if you don't mind, is that I know in this area where it's really tough to figure out who's who in the zoo in terms of what nonprofit to donate money to, I would encourage your viewers to look at the metrics that they look at for their nonprofits. For example, 88% of all monies donated to workshops for warriors, 88% goes straight to programs. We've had 60 years of audited financials. We've never had a financial discrepancy, ever. We have 100% placement and retention. We have almost 100 people going through our classes every 8 months with nationally recognized portable credentials, and that's the key. They're the passport for financial freedom. So I would encourage people to come by, visit, and read more about us or view us online. Thank you.
I would absolutely do the same. And stick
Thank
around
you.
for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our Our next guest is the mortgage geek and vice president of Cornerstone Mortgage Group, Sean Cahan, and his special guest from Remax Pacific, real estate expert, Max Folkers.
Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your time. Max, first time on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being here. We're going to talk about Bay Park today.
Yeah.
Mr. Cahan, we haven't talked about Bay Park yet.
No, we have not.
Why not?
I don't know, but it's a good market.
It's a good market, right? Tell us about Bay Park. First of all, for people who don't know what that is, where's Bay Park?
So Bay Park is just east of, I always tell everybody, you know where PB is, right? Mm-hmm. Just east of the freeway, just east of 5, in between SeaWorld Drive and all the way up to Balboa Drive, up alongside the hill, looking out over the bay. You know, it's a great location, and it's really kind of just now kind of getting its due as sort of the new destination.
Yeah, it's a place where a lot of people have had a lot of success in real estate recently. Prices have gone up there quite a bit.
Yep.
What's the temperature of that market right now, Max?
You know what, it's really hot. You know, we're seeing some of the fixers come up. It's a community of 50s and 60s era homes, and a lot of the families, they stay there for life. You know, it's a lot of single owner or second owner homes. They do come on the market, they're in great shape, but they haven't been updated. And for example, one had come on the market in the low 6s, and there's 24 offers on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just in such high demand where people want to put their own thumbprint on these great houses in these great neighborhoods.
What's about the price point range for Bay Park?
You know, so for a single-family detached home, most of the original homes there are 11 to 1,300 square feet, and you are going to see those in the mid-6s. Now, if you've got a view, you can tack on $50,000 to $100,000 pretty quickly.
Okay, so we're talking about jumbo financing for most people in that situation, Sean, which jumbo pricing has been something that you guys are killing it at over at Cornerstone. You guys are number one on Zillow for jumbo. Yeah. How does the jumbo financing look right now?
I mean, I love the jumbo financing. I was just checking out this morning and shocked to see how low it really was. It's actually lower than any of our agency product.
So you can get lower rates on jumbo right now than on like the Fannie Mae stuff?
Yeah.
How is
We're
that
like
possible?
1/4% to 0.5% lower than the agency, especially on high balance, right? So if you're doing a loan amount for like $575,000 and you have the room, just bump it up to $590,000, or
and save money on
and
interest.
save money on interest that way. I know it sounds weird, but we're always told, hey, you want to keep an agency, you want to keep 580 and below or 417 and below. I mean, the 30-year on that jumbo product, I think it's because more of the institutional banks. So a lot of the other banks that were doing jumbo portfolio, I think, have kind of taken themselves out of the market, and now it's like a big fight, what we're seeing, between like all the institutional banking. So on the direct bank side, they're really, sharpening their pencil on these interest rates.
That sounds like it.
Yeah.
That's
It's
pretty
incredible.
awesome. So jumbo financing for some people who can't have a big down payment in that area, but it's still been really, really hot, even though the homes are older and they're smaller. Why is it so hot? What's so great about Bay Park?
Well, I think what a lot of people are doing is, what I did 12, 13 years ago was, I grew up in PB, not originally, but,
What was that like growing up in PB? That's another question.
Well, I'm originally from Iowa, but, of course, moved to PB in my early 20s, had a great time there. But when it comes time to sell down, wife and kids, and you start looking for a mortgage versus renting, you just couldn't afford to stay in PB. You could get a tiny condo, or you can move across the freeway, God forbid, and all of a sudden you can afford a detached house, you can get a view. And I think what we're seeing is a lot of people are starting their search and saying, hey, God, La Jolla would be great, North PB would be great, Crown Point would be great. And then they say, oh wait, I can get the same thing for $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 less over in Bay Park. And not only that, but it's really seeing a resurgence with a bunch of new restaurants and bars. Certainly, the population is getting to be a lot younger as those original and second family owners are moving on, and new families are coming into the area.
Sean, you've bought a lot of properties all over San Diego County.
I just sold one in Bay Park.
Did you sell one in Bay
Yes,
Park?
I did.
Oh, there you go.
Seriously?
I swear to God.
See, do this stuff all the time.
At a more of an aggressive purchase or a sales price than we went into it. So
So why'd you sell? Was it a flip or was it?
yeah, it's
okay.
actually Max and I's property.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
We team up every once in a while and bring something to the market that's fun. And I mean, the houses where the purchase prices were, where we actually sold it wasn't like, you know, knock it out of the park by any means. I think that the buyer still got a really good deal. We were happy with it, and so we just kind of like moved on with the purchase price.
No,
so.
it is. It's fun to take those older homes and really make it into something special that can be turnkey and just perfect for a family to move right in, and again at a price that relative to the surrounding areas really makes sense and fits within their budget.
Okay. So you guys.
Getting that younger, not younger per se, but kind of that mid-level, allowing them to live in like a really nice area, safe without, really taking them to the cleaners with like, hey, you need like 200 grand down.
Yeah, right.
You got to carry a note of $6,000 a month. I mean, that gets really difficult for, some individuals in that demographic of individual.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
So you guys saw opportunity there, seized it yourself. We're telling people right now about the same opportunities. I want to ask you both this question.
Yeah.
Right now, as investors, which you clearly are, is there any area in San Diego that you have your eye on in particular as an investor where you might see some opportunities?
Cool.
Well, I gotta say, I've always liked the Sherman Heights area, just south of 94, just east of the freeway. I think Barrio Logan. Not that there's a lot of residential down that way, but as the downtown redevelopment continues to push east, that's just going to continue to pop. And then the other area. And this may be a bit of a longer term play, but I mean, Imperial Beach, I mean, gosh, if you've got some money, I think that's just a great place to go. Everything that's happening down there along the coast, it's amazing what you can get, within a half dozen blocks of the ocean.
It is,
Yeah.
and that's one of the few places you can still do it. Sean, you want to add to that?
Imperial is one of the ones that I have like the forethought of, hey, it could be a very wonderful place.
Yeah.
But I feel that we've all been talking about that for
For
a
a while,
little bit
yeah.
too long. So I don't know if it's ever going to change. That's the thing. Maybe we might be talking about the same thing. Oh, it looks like it's up and coming because the prices are so low and you can be so close in 5 years. And if I still talk about it in 5 years, I think that it's kind of
Over?
like
It's like baked into the price, like everyone already believes that. Like that's one of the things that's tough. It's sort of like North County. North County, for a lot of people, starting to look overpriced. A lot of people look at North County going,
Certainly, especially at
Prices are
the
too high.
higher end, the newer developments, a lot of those are sitting for quite a while, and I've certainly seen a lot more price reductions. Whereas in that mid-range, in the 4s, 5s, 6, 7s, there's still a lot of demand.
tons of activity in that range.
I mean, I'm a buyer in North County right now,
You are?
trying to buy something which I'm completely against for my personal self, but my wife really wants a house. And the prices are so crazy.
That's what I'm hearing.
To me. I just can't, we make a solid, great offer, no contingencies, close extremely quick, and they're just like, no, I want this dollar amount. And I just...
Yeah. My parents just bought a house in Oceanside, and they said it was the same thing. They're looking at like fixer-uppers for like $700 and $800.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't want that.
Well, is North County on the decline? We'll have to save that for another segment of Smarter San Diego TV. Thank you guys so much for coming today. Really appreciate it. Sean Cahan, the Mortgage Geek, Vice President of Mortgage Lending at Cornerstone Mortgage Group. Max, thank you so much for coming today, man.
Oh,
Really
thanks. I
appreciate your
really enjoyed
insights.
it.
It's great to meet you. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our is our community correspondent in Del Cerro. Please welcome back real estate expert Billy Colstock and his special guest, Mr. Everything in Del Cerro, Jay Wilson.
Here they are. What's up, fellas? How you doing?
Glad to be here.
All right, great to have you on the show today. Mr. Everything in Del Cerro.
Well, I don't know quite that. But, I've been there for a while, since 1976.
Since 76.
Yeah.
So that's before I was born.
Is it? Yeah, well, that's
So
okay.
in my mind, you're Mr. Everything in
All
Del
right.
Cerro. So what are your official titles, though, Jay?
Well, I'm secretary of the Del Cerro Action Council, which is a community-based group, and then I serve as vice chair of Navajo Community Planners, which is the official group recognized by the cities with all land issues in relation to the Navajo area, which is basically Grantville, Ally Gardens, Del Cerro, and San Carlos.
Yeah, which has to do with the developments and things
Right.
like that, which we're going to discuss today. Billy, obviously, I mean, I would ask you the question, why would you want to bring Jay on the show today? But obviously, Mr. Everything in Del Cerro.
No, exactly. You know, and one of the great things, Jay is just an example of the type of community efforts that we have going on in Del Cerro, San Carlos. It's great to have him on because, you know, hopefully people are going to get involved, find out something that he can speak about today, that they can get involved with in the community and make the community stronger.
Yeah, well, there's a couple hot topics in there because this is an area where there really hasn't been a lot of new development in a long, long time, right? And
Definitely.
now we've got...
It's been a couple of decades.
It's been a couple decades.
Yeah.
And now we've got a couple things brewing, right?
We do. One is a development proposed by the Coleridge Company, which is just south of the Chevron gas station coming up from the freeway on College Avenue. On the east side, there's a canyon there, and they're proposing to build 26 single family homes. And the community is very concerned just because of the ingress and egress. The original concept, everybody thought if they'd ever develop that, they'd have to purchase 1 or 2 homes on Marne Avenue so that the access would be not on College Avenue. But the city has told them supposedly that they can have a development with an ingress and egress just below the Chevron station.
Huh.
And traffic gets pretty heavy in there, and it's pretty speedy at times in there. And you've got the exit from the freeway onto College Avenue going into Del Cerro where they're merging, and all of a sudden now going to have to merge with 26 units full of houses and lots of traffic.
Billy, is 26 homes, is that enough to change the traffic paradigm there?
Well, actually, the company did a couple traffic studies, and what I'm understanding today is that it's actually going to only change the traffic by 1%. But where it's located at inside the community is definitely a challenge for getting in and out because there's only one way in and one way out on a one-way street. So, and there's a lot of no U-turns in the area. So a potential buyer in this community is going to have to definitely think out their routes. Just even to go to the grocery store, we were talking about right before the segment, is just to go to the grocery store, you're going to have to really consider, how am I going to get home?
Right. Yeah, the no U-turns is always a bummer. You're like, oh, we'll just get up. Oh.
It
really helps keeps the traffic down, right?
Yeah, and the city doesn't require a traffic study because the development is so small, but they've done one traffic study and then a follow-up they just did because of the concern in the community.
I don't know how in the world they're going to build 26 homes in that hole.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, seriously, what's the plan there? Are they going to fill it in or something?
Yeah, they do. There's a lot of work that has to be done. It's zoned R1. So it's
ready to go that way.
To go that way, exactly. And there are 5,000 square foot lots on an average. And they have a lot of debris that they have to remove, stuff that was dumped there before. So it's not a pristine environment totally. So they have a lot of excavation to do. So that's a concern with the people that live on Marne Avenue, which is going to be development literally in their own backyard. It's
probably a little noise too.
It's a little noisy and probably some dust, even with all the environmental requirements of keeping the dust down and things. It's going to be an impact.
Okay.
No question.
Going to be interesting, but that's moving forward. That's going to happen.
It's moving forward. They're waiting for some additional feedback from the city about their proposed plans, and so they're keeping us informed about what the status is. So we'll see what happens next.
And I have to say the development company has been very active at appearing at the Del Cerro Action Council and also the Navajo Planning Commission to give their proposed plans so that they're taking the community feedback and really listening to what's going on and the feedback of the community.
Love to have that developer on this show.
We would love to have
that. Would be very interesting.
Yes.
Just to kind of hear some of the inner workings of how that works out.
Yeah, I imagine once they get to the point where they've got a real plan that the city has approved, so they can come forth and really talk about it rather than we think we're going to be able to do this, then you'll probably be able to get them on.
Okay. What about the Grantville development project? What's going on
Well, that's
there?
been a long lifetime process. I mean, that's been going on for over 20 years, the redevelopment of Grantville. It's been there a long time, which is basically right off of Mission Gorge Road. And there are two areas, Area A, which is from the freeway down to Kaiser Hospital, and Area B, which goes from Kaiser Hospital basically up to Mission Trails Regional Park, primarily on the west side of Mission Gorge in that area. Originally, it was a redevelopment area designated, and then our current governor decided he'd do away with redevelopment areas, so that kind of ground everything to a halt. But within the last year or so, the city finally adopted a new Grantville master plan update. So now it's beginning to move forward. Traffic is always a concern. Mission Gorge can be a real traffic jam at times. All of a sudden, if people are concerned that, all right, we're going to generate all new traffic because all of these new single-family units that can be built are homes and condos and apartments, upwards potentially of 6,000 over a period of about 30 years. Traffic pattern will change. The traffic count, they think, is going to be pretty much the same, but the hours that everybody travels are going to change.
Billy, do these types of developments, either one of these that we're discussing, do they have an impact on the real estate market for homeowners or real estate prices at all?
Well, of course. I mean, we are bringing in new construction to an area that otherwise hasn't had some new construction for 20 plus years. So it's definitely good to have new construction as an option to somebody who maybe otherwise want to live in the community but don't want to purchase an older home. So definitely going to bring new faces to the community, and then also it revitalizes it in a way that when we're, especially the Grantville, if we're going to be redeveloping an entire area, that's going to bring a lot of new businesses. It's going to bring a lot of new homeowners. It's going to bring a lot of new people to the community.
Yeah. And what's interesting to me about the traffic things, that always comes up and everyone's always concerned about it, and they pay all this money for these traffic studies. I was like, traffic has to do with cars, not homes, right? Yes. So like, unless there's more people, then you won't have more cars. You know, so if people, in other words, if people are just moving from an apartment to a house, that's just spacing things out. It doesn't really necessarily add traffic. So I think the traffic concerns are usually a little overworked up, you know? But in Del Cerro, I can understand, because that is a little funny area.
And you know, I'll speak to, there was one gal at the last community meeting who spoke up, and I believe she lives on one of the streets that'll be affected if this development project goes in by the Chevron, where she's saying, you know, hey, the alternative is to drive down my neighborhood street. And so there might be some might be some people who come out of that development and drive down the street. So I mean, that's a real concern of hers. She has children, an otherwise safe street, now maybe a little bit busier.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true as well. And Mr. Everything in Del Cerro, Jay, tell us about your passion project. Tell us about the park. I want to hear about that while I got you here.
I'm the executive director of the Mission Trails Regional Park Foundation. The city owns and operates Mission Trails. We're kind of the support group. It's a real gem in San Diego and really for everywhere. I mean, it's the largest urban open space park of its kind west of the Mississippi. It covers 7,200 and about 13 acres, I think. There's 60 miles of trails in the park. Latest thing is the 5 Peak Challenge. If you like to hike, take the 5 Peak Challenge. Climb the 5 peaks in the park at your own pace. You can do it over a day. You can do it in a month.
Can you do it in one day?
Yeah. It's been done. The record is 2 hours and 22 minutes. And the part of the guy's email address was Sherpa. And I said, where'd that come from? And he said, running and hiking the trails in Nepal. He's an ultra marathoner, runs 100 miles. Yeah. So take the challenge. Come and get we'll give you a little nice lapel pin, a certificate.
Okay.
Join the 5 Peak Challenge.
We
started it in November, and we're getting close to 1,100 people that have completed it already.
Wow. Very, very cool. Yeah. Jay Wilson, Mr. Everything in Del Cerro, thank you so much for being here, man.
My pleasure.
Really, really appreciate your time today. Billy Colstock, another great job bringing in an amazing guest for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guest is our go-to guy in Encinitas. Please welcome back to the show real estate expert, Michael Jacobo.
All right, he's here. MJ, Michael Jacobo. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
Another controversial topic in Encinitas.
Once again. Right?
Yeah, Cardiff specifically.
Yes.
The coastal rail trail We posted on Facebook. So, Beck, we're going to get to the Facebook comments in just a second. But for starters, for anyone who doesn't know, what is this coastal rail trail thing all about?
Well, let me start off by saying it's a little bit broader than just Encinitas and Cardiff.
Oh, okay.
It's actually it's going to be a trail, a coastal rail trail that's going to eventually will be from Oceanside all the way down into the Santa Fe Depot.
Oh, okay.
So the controversy is coming up where we have what they're trying to put in is from G Street, which is downtown Encinitas, a rail trail that is going to align right near the current railroad tracks,
Okay.
all the way down to Chesterfield in Cardiff. Here's the problem. You have some people that are for it, some people that are against it. Reasons being is currently they have it set to be on the east side of the railroad tracks. We have some residents in Cardiff that like for it to be on the west side of the railroad tracks. This is where the controversy is coming up.
So it's all about that, just where they're setting it
It's good
in respect to the railroad trade? That's the big problem?
That's one of the big problems.
Okay.
That's one major problem. From Chesterfield all the way up to Santa Fe, there's no fence or anything along where the railroad track is. So people, pedestrians can run across the
I do it all the time in Del Mar, I'll be honest with you. I
See?
step on those railroad tracks all the time.
and so that's what they're trying to prevent. So the problem
Guys
is,
like me.
guys like you.
And me.
Oh, great. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to come up with some ideas as far as what would this fence look like. We have some people say it's going to be a wall. We have other people are saying that it's just going to be a 4-foot fence that will end up being just
Chain link or
like
something?
no, not even chain link, just the wires just going across.
Single wires?
Yes, wires going across. So and only 4 feet tall.
Pointless. Pretty
That's
much.
not that bad.
Yeah.
It will be a bike and rail path.
So we asked social media what they thought about this, and we specifically asked Encinitas and the people of Encinitas what they thought about the coastal rail trail and whether they were for it or against it. I didn't tally up totally because we were still getting comments even as of this morning, but there were a lot of no's. There were a lot of no's. People don't like it in general. That seems to be from our Facebook audience. They don't like it. Beck, let's hear some of the specific comments
Okay, yeah,
from this post.
We're going to start with Dave Gagne, and he says no. It is a waste of $8 million, and it will cause enormous noise pollution by the elementary with increased train horns caused by the at-grade crossing planned for Montgomery. It will also include a fence that prohibits access to the beach. No.
He says no. So is any of that true?
I don't believe so.
No.
There's a lot of misled information out there.
Okay.
First of all, the numbers that I've found, seeing that the cost is going to be $5.1 million,
Okay.
not $8 million.
Okay.
In regards to the fences not allowing people to come across, what they're planning on doing and what Sandag is going to be doing is going to be implementing some additional pedestrian walkthroughs. So now you wouldn't be crossing it on, going across into the beaches, beach access illegally. It'll be done legally.
Gotcha.
So they're going to add some.
Okay.
As far as the horns, they are trying to implement for Cardiff specifically is a quiet zone. In actuality, it will be less horns because now the conductors of these trains won't have to be blowing the horns because people are running across.
Yeah.
And just so you know, a quick statistic, as of 2012, we have had 10 deaths there. 10 deaths and 80 near misses right in this little area that we're speaking of. So it can enhance it. It will help that. The fence one will help it. Also, the additional pedestrian crossing will
Increase
definitely
the
help
safety.
it. Exactly.
No question. Let's hear some more from social media, Beck. Let's do a couple more.
Rubens Mello says, I love the way it is. That's what makes Cardiff the special Cardiff.
I love his name. Ruben's Mellow?
Ruben's Mellow.
I want to know Ruben's Mellow. He sounds like a pretty chill dude.
You sound like a likable guy.
I think that's what probably a lot of the no is people just saying, no, we like it like it is. We moved here because we like it like this.
What they call it, if one person says they want to keep Cardiff kooky, you know, so they want to keep it the way it is. People don't like change.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what I believe comes down to. I think it's just people like it the way it is. That's why they live there. They like the streets the way they are. And I will tell you, San Elijo Avenue, which is what we're talking about, a part of this is the fact that there's no sidewalks. It's dangerous. I've actually run there all the time. You are running directly on the street. So ultimately what this will do for people, it'll allow people to have a walkway, a run pathway, a bike trail that would, again, take you from Cardiff all the way into downtown Encinitas and safe.
And be safe. Let's hear from the other side of the argument, Beck. Let's get one of the comments from the other end.
This is a funny ha-ha. Simon Halewood says, if it makes my access to the Kraken easier, I'm for it. Hashtag selfish.
Nice, nice. It's nice that he recognizes that.
Yeah.
Well, let's get down to the brass tacks because, I mean, ultimately, I think, you know, how this plays out in desirability, which ultimately leads to values of property.
Right.
How do you think that would work out from a real estate perspective for homeowners in this area if this project goes on, past the construction, of course? Mm-hmm. What effect would there be on real estate prices just as a result of this project?
I think what it'll do is it'll enhance the walkability of the community. So I think people will enjoy it. I think people will pay more because it will bring people here. It'll allow you to walk or ride a bike from Seaside Market in Cardiff and take a stroll north into downtown Encinitas and go to the different pubs, go to the different restaurants there. And it's going to look beautiful. There's plenty of photos that we'll show and what it's going to look like. I think it will ultimately help. You're going to see people be able to walk right out their doors onto this path, run, bike up and down Encinitas.
Michael, thank you so much for being here, man. Really appreciate
My pleasure.
your time. Thanks
Derrick,
for all your
thank you very
great
much for having me.
research and stuff on the show. If
pleasure.
you are looking to buy or sell real estate in Encinitas, call Michael Jacobo, which is the Jacobo Realty Group. You can trust him. He knows what he's doing. He's been a huge advocate for the area. We appreciate your time, sir, very much here on the show. And stick around for more
Smart San Diego TV,
where we
guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.
Commercial free. Hey, great show, guys. That's a wrap. Jade, what's your schedule look like? Do you mind breaking down the set?
Not today, Derrick. I'd love to, but there's waves out there. I gotta go. Angela? Nikki?
Yeah, I gotta go beat traffic. And I think Nikki's making something up there.
Look at this. We did this. We did all of this.